What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Legacy Evolution Leader Class Prime Universe Dreadwing, one of the best Decepticons from the Transformers Prime TV show. You know, he was the vengeful twin brother of Skyquake, who I believe was brutally taken out in his debut episode, and Dreadwing stuck around for slightly longer until eventually he was killed off by Megatron. You know, Megatron's decision to choose Starscream over Dreadwing was crazy, but in terms of this figure, it looks great. You know, personally, I think this is one of the best Legacy Leader Class molds which they've so far released, and in terms of a jet former, definitely one of the nicest looking ones that we've seen in a very long time. I mean, in terms of undercarriage kibble, there really is next to none. It is such a bulky Leader Class figure, as you would expect, and the details are on point. So, as we get stuck into the cockpit, I like how they kept the translucent red plastic, but to kind of throw it back to how he looked in Transformers Prime, have added this metallic silver overspray on top. So yeah, that's a pretty nice touch. You can also lift the cockpit up to reveal some pretty nice kind of internal details. So yeah, that's really cool. I like the intakes that we have here on the side of the wings. Just the sculpt work on top of the jet in itself looks sick. And I also like how, again, to match how he looked in Transformers Prime, we do get his Decepticon accurate insignias on the sides of the wings. So yeah, that's pretty cool. As we take a look here at the back of the jet, I like how it is equally as detailed as the front. So we get this massive thruster slap bang in center, as well as these two additional ones which are blast effect compatible, so that's pretty cool. And I also like how you can take these side wings and kind of flare them upwards to create for a slightly more dynamic look. So yeah, jet mode wise, this thing looks incredible. And as we turn him here to the underside, he retains the same feature of the retractable landing gear, so we can flip out the front one, which reveals some pretty nice details, and then he also has two packed here into the back. So if I just show you one of these, check out the hydraulic detail. So yeah, all in all, such a fantastic looking figure. And if you just so happen to own Needlenose from Wave 1, we can take these top wings here, slap these pieces down, which does reveal these two tabs, and on the underside of Needlenose were these slots. So much like Skyquake, these two perfectly line up with one another so that we can recreate that docking feature as we saw from Skyquake. Personally, I think this is going to make slightly more sense once we see that inevitable G1 repaint of Skyquake, but for now, this is really cool Evo Fusion, and to be fair, throws me all the way back to the Revenge of the Fallen toy line, where Mindwipe and Skystalker could combine in a very similar way. Now, as this guy's on the hunt for his brother's killers, you can also store his blaster accessory here on the underside, so even in jet mode, you can have him taking out some of the Autobots, which I thought was pretty cool. We will touch base slightly more with these accessories once we get this guy transformed up in robot mode, but yeah, even this I thought was a pretty sick look. Now, as we check out a few comparisons, on the left we have Dreadwing compared to the right, who is his brother Skyquake. So jet mode wise, they are exactly the same in terms of their details. It really is just the paint which differs. Personally, I've always preferred the blue over the green. I just think it works a little nicer, to be fair, but it's awesome to get updated versions of both of these characters, because in the case of Skyquake especially, his original 2012 figure was so difficult to track down, and I believe goes for astronomical prices on the aftermarket. And I also think some of the original Dreadwing figures are slowly creeping up to the same price that Skyquake was. So yeah, it's fantastic to see these two, especially as in my opinion they are better when in comparison to their original counterparts. Which, talking of, here on the right we have the original 2012 Voyager Dreadwing. So bumping this character up to leader class straight away just makes way more sense, and personally I think the jet mode of the leader class version is vastly superior when in comparison here to the Voyager release. I mean, the Voyager had a lot of ugly angles. I mean, check out the hands, clearly hanging out of the back. This is a surprise to say, but I do think this is one of the few Prime figures which is superior over its original counterpart. So yeah, they definitely have struck a fantastic balance with this mold, and I hope going into Legacy Year 3, this is the type of balance that we can expect to see from future updates. Now, as we get stuck into transformation, pretty complex as you would expect. So first of all, take these rear wings here and collapse them down. We can then come here to the front, take what will become the shoulder pads, and just extend these sections here forwards on both sides. The next step would be to then come here to the underside of the jet mode, take the wings and basically just attach these away from what will become the legs of the bot mode. So do the same here for this side, and then you're going to want to basically take this hip joint, flip it here all the way to the back, rotate here at the thigh, and extend the knee joint just like this. We can then take the front part of the foot, bring this section here forwards, and then take this fin piece, bring this forwards, and there's a tiny little slot here which should tab into this section, so snap that in there. Do the exact same here for this side, so basically extend this hip joint here all the way to the back, rotate at the thigh, bring those knee joints down, take the front part of the foot, extend this section forward, take this fin piece, flip it upwards until it does snap into place. Now comes the challenging part, that being the whole upper torso of Dreadwing. So you're going to want to take these arms, extend these here all the way out, and then split these right down the middle just like this. The next step would be to then come here to the front of the jet, get a hold of these tabs which we used for the Evo Fusion gimmick previously, and split these here right down the middle, and kind of angle these pieces here out to the sides just to allow for enough clearance so that when we take this waist joint and rotate it here to the side, it should allow for enough clearance for us to take these wings and bring these here all the way to the back. So once you've done that, we can then take this section here and flip it upwards so this spike section is facing towards the ceiling. Do the exact same here for this side. So take this wing, bring this here to the back, rotate this section here all the way up just like that. Now we can come to the nose cone of the jet, which is kind of tricky to mess around with, I'm not going to lie. So disengage this main bulk piece here away from what will become the neck of the robot mode. So basically just take these shoulder pieces, bring these here to the front. The next step would be to then take the front part of the nose cone, detach this and bring this here down, and then take this cockpit piece and lift it upwards. Personally, I find this to work best during transformation, and then we can take this entire section here, and this should shift in like that. And as you guys can see, we are left with a slider joint. So rotate here at the waist so everything is in perfect alignment with one another, and then compress this down until it does snap there into place. Now, one of the biggest issues that I and many collectors had with the original Skyquake would be that in robot mode, the wings would not attach firmly. So they have made an adjustment, because this time round, these little slots are much deeper and the tabs are much thicker. So you basically just lift this up until it does very nicely click into place. Do the exact same here for this side, so lift this up until again it does snap into place. So fantastic to see they adjusted the tolerances of this guy, and personally I do like to take the cockpit of the jet mode, pull it forwards just like this, and then combine these two halves. If you wanted to, you could kind of have it on the underside, but to be fair, I just think this works best. Then we can come around here to the front, extend the elbow joints out, take the hands, flip these out, and then take these additional covers and snap these into place. Do the exact same here for this side. So extend out those elbow joints, fold the fists forward, snap the forearm cover into place, bring the shoulder joints here down, take the shoulder pads, bring these here up and over, and then for a finishing touch, you do take the neck joint, which also is on a slider joint, and just pull that forwards. And bang! Here we have Dreadwing fully transformed into his super sick robot mode. And this guy looks awesome, you know. As some of you may have heard me mention previously, I really think that specifically with Dreadwing and Skyquake, they've struck a fantastic balance between kind of the old and the new, because if you were to take a look at some of the slightly earlier Prime Universe figures, such as RC and Bulkhead, personally I found they strayed slightly too far away from how they originally looked in Transformers Prime. Whereas here with Dreadwing, whilst he is easily recognisable as how he did originally appear back on the show, there are also quite a few elements taken from the G1 Skyquake design, most noticeably packed into the chest. But personally, I think it works together super nicely, and yeah, this is a fantastic update. So in terms of the head sculpt, so nicely painted. I mean, check out kind of the golden bursts that we have packed onto the crest, and the translucent red is awesome, because not only is it great for the eyes, but the chest piece in particular, personally, I just think looks great with all of that kind of techie detail on the underside. We even get the classic Prime Universe Dreadwing Decepticon insignia on the chest piece. So yeah, this guy looks so nicely done. Still not too sure why he has an asymmetrical design for his elbow joints. That was something that I didn't even notice on Skyquake until after I finished my review. So maybe this is to do with a potential repaint or retool. I guess only time will tell. But yeah, really nice details here for the hips. The legs are super chunky. You know, this guy definitely doesn't feel cheap. Although I will say he's still quite top heavy. It would have been nice if, much like we're seeing here for the wings, where they kind of retooled the wings to stay together better, they could have added additional heel support, because every now and again he does have a tendency to kind of topple over. But yeah, the back of the figure looks great. You know, all of these wings are on multiple different hinge joints, so you really can display him however you want. If I was to be critical with the paint apps, it would have been awesome had they retained the same amount as we saw from Skyquake, because that figure had the entire underside of the wing fully decked out in silver, whereas here for Dreadwing, it is basically just basic blue plastic. So yeah, that doesn't look too great. But in terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so this will look left to right, as well as up and down, which is fantastic, especially for getting this guy into some of those mid-air poses. The shoulder pads are separate, so you can move these backwards to allow the shoulder itself to rotate the full 360. Due to transformation, we get these terrific butterfly joints, which are awesome, especially when holding some of the accessories. They'll also hinge out to the sides on soft ratchet joints, and we get a very sturdy bicep rotation, which again can rotate the full 360. Double jointed elbows, which is sick. Wrist rotation, and check this out. So due to transformation, not only do we get a fantastic waist joint, but we also get, bang, a terrific ab crunch. Now, technically, I guess this is a transformation hinge joint, but yeah, it does work just fine, and it is so easy to snap this back into place. So all you do is pinch the crotch, pinch the torso, and it does snap there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The hips will kick forwards that far, again on soft ratchet joints, as well as back roughly to that far. They'll also go out to the sides, so fantastic high kick, full rotation here in the thigh due to transformation again, double jointed knees which can curl way past 90, which is sick. And then finally for the foot, the toe can pivot forwards and backwards, mainly due to transformation, and we do get a tiny bit of toe pivot, which is probably the weakest part about the articulation, because I do just wish this was slightly deeper. But besides that, fantastic looking Dreadwing, awesome articulation, and believe me, it's just about to get even better when we check out this guy's accessories. Now, as we check out Dreadwing's firepower, we do get one massive laser cannon, which looks great. You know, this is different in design to the version that came with Skyquake, so it is cool that they did specifically give us a new blaster piece for Dreadwing. Its Evo Fusion gimmick is once again that you can take this kind of ammo clip and transform it into Dreadwing's classic sword. Now, I do wish in some ways this could have been completely cast in silver, much like we saw from the original Prime show, but to be fair, the translucent burning orange energon that we have here does look pretty sick, and maybe it's this colour because he's been absolutely decimating the Autobots in the battlefield, and it is energon stained. So yeah, that's pretty cool. In terms of the machine gun, we also get this additional attachment piece so that he can finally hold this accurately with both hands, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, as we check out a few comparisons in robot modes, on the left we have Legacy Dreadwing compared to the right, which is Legacy Skyquake. So identical in terms of the way their robot modes look. It really will just come down to personal preference as to which one you guys find to be better over the other. If you could only pick up one and I had to give you a recommendation, again it would have to be Dreadwing, because I do just think the colours work better for this mold when in comparison to Skyquake. If you are a completionist, then I imagine you'll get both, but if you can only pick up one, then yeah, it would have to be Dreadwing in my opinion. And here for a blast from the past, on the right we now have the original 2012 Voyager Dreadwing, which whilst in design may be slightly closer to how he showed up in the show, in terms of enjoyability and especially in terms of scale, I have to give it here to the new Dreadwing. I just find it to be way more enjoyable, and for it to look slightly better with even some of the original Transformers Prime figures. And then finally, to round things off, here he is stacked up alongside the Earthrise Optimus Prime. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Leader Class Dreadwing. Overall, I do think it's an excellent repaint. I mean, if you already own Skyquake, then you'll more or less know exactly what to expect in terms of the mold. Both of them are fantastic. You know, the jet mode looks terrific, the transformation is what you would expect from a modern leader class, and the robot mode is big and bulky, which is something that unfortunately we don't tend to see too often from modern leader class figures. So yeah, this guy is just as great as the original version, and in some ways slightly better in my opinion. So I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below for this Legacy Leader Dreadwing. Do you guys find it to be a better figure when in comparison to the original 2012 release, or a slightly worse one? And until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.